takes us to our new item number 2 on individual consideration, to consider approving a letter to the Bureau of Land Management regarding Mesa County's comments for the Colorado River Valley Field Office and Grand Junction Field Office Supplemental EIS RMP amendment. And to call this a letter is an understatement. It's 6 pages with footnotes. It's really an essay. And I appreciate you took so much time to write it. It's very important information. So go ahead, Amber.
Good morning, Amber Swayze, Community Development. As you mentioned before you today is a letter to the BLM in regards to their supplemental EIS and RMP for the Grand Junction Field Office and the Colorado River Valley Field Office. This SEIS is in response to litigation, and they have been tasked with developing a more broad range of alternatives for the 2 plans with respect to lands that are allocated open or closed for oil and gas, and looking at additional air quality analysis for fluid mineral leasing. This is only for BLM administered surfaces and all federal mineral estates. And there were 4 alternatives in the previous plans. They've created 2 new ones for this new plan. Both of the new alternatives propose to close all unknown, no, low, and medium potential areas. And that's according to the reasonable foreseeable development reports that were conducted for the RMPs. Alternative E closes approximately 1.5 million acres to oil and gas leasing and leaves about 382,000 acres available for leasing. The second new alternative F closes about 1.8 million acres and leaves about 104,000 available for leasing. And both of those alternatives include closures for a multitude of other special management areas, including ACECs, special and extensive recreation areas, wilderness characteristic areas, important bird areas, wildlife emphasis areas. They do note that changes from this decision will not affect current leases so long as they are not relinquished or expire. If they do, they will not be released in those areas. So it will affect anything moving forward and then expired or relinquished areas. We acknowledge that there's been a shift in our public lands to more outdoor recreation. We're seeing some renewable energy. But the bottom line is we still see a substantial amount of funding for both Mesa County and our jurisdictions, our special districts, through the federal mineral lease program, state severance payments, and the energy mineral impact assistance grants. So these are really important decisions for our communities. Lastly, I did find a few Scrivener's errors that I would ask permission to change. These are just extra words. We're missing an apostrophe S. The changes would not change the intent of the letter.
All right. Do either of you have any comments on this item?
I do.
Okay.
So first of all, I feel that a lot of times Amber puts more time and thought into her responses than the BLM does into their whole SEIC and RMPs. So you put a lot of time and effort into it. And
thorough.
I just want to say thank you, because this is more than I can fully grasp, the depth of this, and your involvement in this is just stellar. So thank you so much. I mean it. And I think just to highlight a couple portions of it, when combined with all the RMPs and the SEICs and all the other management systems within Mesa County public land, nearly every part of the 73% of Mesa County's managed federal lands face some form of restriction. So if you look at them in silos, you think, oh, it's not that big of an impact. But when you put all the different management systems on the map with co-centric circles, you realize you really can't do anything in Mesa County without massive restrictions on what you can do. So I think the BLM's plan needs to find a lot more balance between the multiple use mandates that it has from Congress. In terms of oil and gas, the negative impacts to extraction, the economy, and revenue are obvious, and I don't think the BLM did a fair job in assessing those needs. The RFD reports that restrict development don't take into consideration current and future technologies, as Amber said, that can potentially extract those minerals in safe, efficient, and environmentally friendly ways. One of the greatest resources we have in the Western Slope is helium, and that's going to restrict helium extraction in the future. We use helium for many things, whether it's medical, technology, everyday life. requires and utilizes helium in a way that makes our quality of life both affordable and respectable. So, and then finally, things like new designated ACECs, National Wildlife Scenic River designations, big game corridors, greater and Gunnison sage-grouse plans, all hinder the multiple use mandate. And so we're not saying we want the BLM to throw this plan out, we just want them to find balance. Often it seems like they lean hard into environmentalist concerns and throw everything out, throw the baby out with the bathwater. And we're just asking for them to find balance in all of this, which we don't think they've done here in this document. So again, Amber, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Did you have any comments, Commissioner Daniel? No. I would just point out, too, as the letter states, the federal mineral lease program is something we also can't forget. And over a 4-year period of time, nearly $1 million was put back into our community. So this is an important issue. Thank you. Does anyone in the audience have any comments or questions on this item?
Chelsea Mira with West Slope Colorado Oil and Gas Association. Thanks for having me here today. And thanks, Amber, for your hard work. You do a brilliant job, and really thankful to have you in our community. I did want to tell a little bit of the emissions story because we have a good one to tell here in Colorado. Since 2013, ambient methane emissions from oil and gas are down 50%. Ethane concentrations have gone down 65%, and total VOC along the Front Range, which is in non-attainment, while we are in attainment area over here, are down 57%. And all of this has happened while production has increased throughout the communities. Garfield County does an amazing job with their air quality monitoring. All of their monitoring stations have shown decreased ethane and methane concentrations over their last years, again, while production has increased. Natural gas from the Rockies has an important role to play in our energy future. In a few short years, we've gone from energy abundance to energy scarcity to an emerging energy crisis in some places on the planet. We need a diverse and stable supply of all energy to power our needs in the 21st century, and we will continue to need oil and natural gas to help meet those demands. The U.S. Energy Information Administration reports increased demand in the U.S. and globally through at least 2015. We also, having grown up here, have demanded a more diverse economy, and I'd say we're there. We've done a really good job of welcoming and encouraging a thriving outdoor recreation economy. These are not mutually exclusive. All jobs are good jobs. The biggest job gains compared to 1 year ago here in Mesa County were in construction, oil and gas with 230 new jobs, and healthcare. We are a significant GDP provider here in the community, as is as is outdoor recreation. And as I said, there's no mutual exclusivity there. We all can and should and have played well out on leased lands. We're very proud to allow, and it's mandated, we allow access to the public to enjoy our lease roads, to go to bike trails or hiking opportunities. You won't find a gate on BLM lands, on leased lands, until you get to private property. And so that access to our outdoor economy is pretty exciting that we can work together in that way. I can go on and on about this. I think, Commissioner Davis, you're spot on. There's not balance in this. They're not using updated reports in their analysis, as Amber did a great job of pointing out in the letter. We're really excited that you're engaged. We're happy to be engaged in this process as we find better balance in this planning process. And we'll probably see in a few years when they update it again.
That's right.
Thank you. Would you mind sending me your notes? I couldn't type as fast as you were speaking, so I'd love to have those.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Does anyone else in the audience have any comments on this item? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve this item as entered into the record.
I did have one more comment before I do that. And Chelsea made me think of it, but Colorado produces the cleanest oil and gas in the world, one could argue. Yet we're restricting the production of oil and gas in Colorado. And the analogy I use, like with my kids, is it doesn't make sense to have a peeing section in the pool, right? I mean, if you pee in one section of the pool, it's going to drift into the other section. So if there's any place in the world where we should be producing an abundance of oil and natural gas, it should be right here in Colorado, yet we're not doing that. We have all these restrictions on how they can produce it, which is great. I mean, they shouldn't be polluting the groundwater and soils and air, and those restrictions help us not do that. So we should be producing it right here in Colorado, and that's kind of what this letter is intended to do, is to find that balance. So anyways, I will make the motion to approve this letter and send it to BLM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 3-0.